Hello, and welcome back. My name is Sam. Today, we're going to focus on what I believe is the single most powerful tool in a consultant's arsenal. It's not a piece of technology, it's a way of thinking. This is the knowledge that will help you build the confidence you need to advise clients with real authority. We're tackling K29, which is about the principles of different consulting methodologies. This is your professional playbook. It's the set of structured plays that top-tier consultants use to take a client's messy, ambiguous, and often stressful problem and turn it into a clear, manageable, and solvable project. Let's use an analogy. When you go to a doctor with a problem, they don't just take a wild guess. They follow a structured diagnostic methodology. They listen to your symptoms, they form an initial hypothesis, and they run specific, targeted tests to confirm the diagnosis before they ever recommend a treatment. This structured process is what gives you confidence in their advice. Our goal today is to learn the equivalent methodologies for business problems so you can provide that same level of confidence to your clients. Let's use my scaffold and ascend method to break this down. I want you to see this knowledge not as abstract theory, but as a practical, powerful tool for managing the challenges of your role. First, the phrase, principles of different consulting methodologies. A methodology is simply a structured way of thinking about a problem. It's a map. When a client presents you with a complex, ambiguous problem, your methodology is the map you use to navigate from the problem to the solution in a logical, step-by-step way. The standard then names the two most important methodologies in our playbook, issue-based and hypothesis-based. These are two different, powerful strategies for breaking down problems. We're going to look at each one in detail so you have a clear understanding of how they work. Finally, and this is the most critical part for a consultant, is understanding the contexts in which they can be applied. There is no single, best method. The skill of a great consultant is their ability to analyze the client's situation and choose the right methodology for that specific challenge. It's about strategic choice, not rigid dogma. I want to talk directly to you about why this specific piece of knowledge is so critical for your confidence and your success as a consultant. I know that imposter syndrome can be a real challenge when you're in a room with experienced clients and technical experts. These methodologies are your shield. First, they give you a place to start. One of the most anxiety-inducing moments in consulting is the very beginning of a project. You have a new client, a big, messy problem, and a blank sheet of paper. A methodology solves this. It gives you a clear, structured, and professional set of actions to take in that first crucial meeting. You will always know what to do next. Second, it allows you to lead with questions, not answers. The fear behind imposter syndrome is that you'll be asked a technical question you can't answer. These methodologies shift the dynamic. They are built around asking a series of smart, logical questions. You are no longer the person who is expected to have all the answers, you are the professional who is leading a structured process of discovery. Finally, it's the language of credibility. When a client asks how you're going to tackle their problem, there's a huge difference between saying, well, I'm going to have a look at the data and talk to some people, and saying, we will begin by deploying an issue-based problem-solving methodology to disaggregate the core drivers of the problem. The second one shows that you have a professional, structured, and trustworthy process. It builds immediate confidence. Let's open the playbook and look at our first method, issue-based problem-solving. This is your go-to methodology when a client presents you with a big, vague, and complex problem like, our sales are flat, or our customer satisfaction is declining. The core principle is simple but powerful. You can't solve a huge, messy problem all at once. But you can break it down into a set of smaller, more manageable sub-problems, and then solve those one by one. The main technique we use to do this is called an issue tree. This is a simple diagram where you put the main problem at the top, and then you break it down into its component parts. The golden rule for creating an issue tree is the acronym MECE, which stands for mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. Mutually exclusive means your branches shouldn't overlap. Collectively exhaustive means that, together, your branches must cover all the possible causes of the problem. Let's see what that looks like. Let's make this practical. Imagine your client asks you the classic question, how can we increase the profits from our website? This is too big to solve. So, you apply the issue tree technique. You start at the top with your primary question. Then you ask, what are the component parts of profit? The classic business answer is that profit equals revenue minus costs. So, your first level of the issue tree is simple. To increase profits, we must either increase revenues or decrease costs. This is perfectly MECE. They are two separate things, and together they are the only two things that make up profit. Now you break it down again. How do you increase revenue? You can get more people to the site, increase traffic, you can get more of those people to buy, increase conversion rate, or you can get them to spend more when they buy, increase average order value. Again, this is a logical MECE breakdown. You do the same for decrease costs. Look what you've just done. In a few minutes, you have taken a huge, intimidating question and broken it down into 5 specific, manageable, and data-driven work streams. You now have a project plan. You can start asking for the data for each of these 5 areas. You have created structure out of chaos. Now let's look at the second play in our playbook, hypothesis-based problem solving. This is a more advanced technique, and it's often what separates good consultants from great ones. You use this method when you're not starting from a blank page. Based on your experience, or some initial data, you have a strong hunch about the root cause of the problem. The principle is to be, answer first. Instead of exploring every possibility, you start with a single, clear, and testable hypothesis. The process is very structured. First, you state the hypothesis. For example, instead of asking, why are profits down, you state, my initial hypothesis is that our profits are down because our new shipping partner is 20% more expensive than our old one. Second, you identify the exact analysis needed to test that one statement. To prove or disprove this, I need to get the shipping cost data for the last 12 months and compare the average cost per delivery before and after we switched partners. Third, you go and get only the data and perform only that analysis. The benefit of this approach is that it can be incredibly fast and efficient. Instead of boiling the ocean with a full issue tree analysis, you are performing a single, targeted piece of laser-focused work. It's a very powerful way to get to the answer quickly. Let's see how you would use both of these methodologies together in a real consulting engagement. A client comes to you and says, we've launched a new mobile app, but user engagement is really low. We don't know why. This is a classic vague problem, so you know you need to start with an issue-based approach. You can't form a hypothesis yet because you don't have any clues. So, you build a simple issue tree. You break low engagement down into its logical parts. Is it an acquisition problem? Are people not downloading the app? Is it an activation problem? Are they downloading it but failing to complete the sign-up? Or is it a retention problem? Are they signing up but not coming back? This gives you a clear plan for your initial analysis. You ask the client for the data on downloads, sign-ups, and repeat usage. The data shows that downloads and sign-ups are actually very good, but 90% of users who sign up never open the app a second time. You found the problem area, it's retention. Now that the problem is specific, you can switch to a hypothesis-based approach. You use your knowledge and intuition to form a hypothesis. I believe retention is low because the onboarding tutorial is too long and confusing, so users never understand the app's core value. And now you have your clear next step. Your recommendation to the client is, the data shows the problem is with retention. My hypothesis is that the cause is the onboarding. I recommend we now conduct a small user testing project focused specifically on the onboarding process to confirm this. Just a quick clarifying note, as the standard specifically mentions Prince2. It's very important that you understand the difference here. Prince2 is a project management methodology. It is not a consulting or problem-solving methodology. What does that mean? It means PRINCE2 does not give you any tools to figure out the answer to the client's problem. What it does give you is a very structured, formal framework for managing the project itself, things like how to get budget approval, how to report progress to a project board, and how to manage risks and issues. As a consultant, you will often find yourself working on a large project that is being governed by a methodology like Prince2. That's absolutely fine. You will follow their rules for reporting and governance, but you will still use your own consulting methodologies, your issue trees and your hypotheses, to do the actual thinking and problem-solving work inside that project structure. For your portfolio, K29 is the perfect place to demonstrate your strategic thinking. Use the STARR method to reflect on a time you solved a problem. Situation: the client had low user retention but didn't know why. Task: I needed to diagnose the root cause. Action: I demonstrated K29 principles. I started with an issue-based approach, creating an issue tree to map out all potential causes: acquisition, activation, and retention. Once the data pointed to a problem with the tutorial, I switched to a hypothesis-based approach. I formed a hypothesis that the tutorial was too long and conducted targeted A/B testing to prove it. Result: we defined a clear roadmap for the product team, and subsequent changes improved retention by 15%. Reflection: I learned that starting with a structured methodology replaces guesswork with confidence and builds immediate trust with the client. If you are working on your major project, K29 is mandatory. You need a dedicated section, likely titled Methodology or Problem Definition. Don't just do the work, explain the framework. Explicitly write, I chose an issue-based approach for this phase because the root cause was unknown. Include a diagram of your issue tree. If your project is governed by Prince2, explain that linkage. While PRINCE2 managed the project delivery, I used hypothesis-based consulting to solve the core technical challenge. This distinction proves your professional maturity and rigorous judgment to the assessor. And that brings us to the end of our session on consulting methodologies. The key takeaway for you is that these frameworks are your single best tool for managing the ambiguity and pressure of a consulting role. They are the source of your structure and your confidence. You now have your core playbook. You have the issue-based approach for when you need to explore a wide, complex problem, and the hypothesis-based approach for when you need to test a specific idea with speed and focus. Most importantly, I want you to see these methodologies as the foundation of your professional confidence. When you feel that sense of imposter syndrome creeping in, I want you to fall back on the process. Trust the framework. It will guide you through the problem and allow you to lead your client with a calm, structured, and logical approach. Mastering these ways of thinking is what will allow you to become the trusted, strategic advisor you are striving to be. Thank you for your focus today. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you now feel more confident in mastering this topic. If you found value in this session, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and follow our channel. It really means a lot to me and helps the algorithm show these lessons to other apprentices, just like you, who need support. Don't forget, you can download today's slides and the full transcript at www.mentorinai.com EPA Hub. While you are there, check out our mock interview and portfolio review services to make sure you are fully ready for your EPA. See you in the next video. Keep learning.